Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another video of Green Square Talks Battlebots. Shorter group for this one is co-hosting. We have Civilian Arc up top, and right below me we have Pory. So, how's it going, both of you?
Are you gonna go first or am I?
Oh, I was waiting for you to go first.
Oh, yeah, I'm just vibing. Got a good predictions record for once, so yeah. Hopefully, next episode doesn't fuck me over like last season's episode 2 did, because I got literally snubbed in like 3 fights in that episode.
What was your ranking this episode?
6-2.
6 and 2. Okay, that's what I got too. Okay, so we're tied on this one for sure. Cool.
Yeah, this one wasn't as good for me, but of course I went all out insane in this one and went forward 4. You'd know that
Iowa
pretty well if
moment.
you checked out my prediction podcast, and
I respect that
The
though.
moment.
yeah, Pory gives me credit for it, Civilian doesn't, but whatever.
I think you should
Messed
get
up, so.
respect for for predicting fucking Rusty to win. What do you want from me? Like if I
Right,
predict
he's putting his
if I
rankings in jeopardy.
if I predict Rusty to beat Witch Doctor, I'm not gonna ask you all to like bow down to me.
I'd give you props just for doing
Yeah,
it,
I'd give you
even if
respect for
Witch
that.
Doctor did win that,
I
I'd
don't
still give you props.
don't
But
want props for that though. Is the thing.
but yeah, so
So
featured in this podcast is the review of episode 2, where the three of us will go over the first 7 fights, and then featured at the end of this will be a clip featuring just Pory and I, mostly because at the time of recording this, Sub-Zero and Shatter is not public yet. And so we don't want to spoil the fight for Civilian Arc, and
I mean, you
uh,
already did. I asked you
well,
to,
you
so
know the result, but you haven't seen the fight yet. Is where I'm going with
yeah.
that. So,
it's
so
a
at the
wild
end it'll
fight.
be just Pory and I where we're discussing the YouTube exclusive fight, and then did power rankings and so on. But yeah, so mostly because Pory and I are BattleBots supporters, so we're awesome and get to see the fight early. So yeah, so. All right, so yeah, another awesome looking fight card. I think let's go ahead and get to the first fight. All right, so now we got Mad Catter and Yeti here, and this one was probably the fight I was most looking forward to in the entire episode. This one in the main event, because like we got two robots that are forced to be reckoned with, and both sides, because like on one side we got Mad Catter who yeah, definitely shocked me with the fact that they went 3-0 after not doing well in 2019. And then we got Yeti who has returned after being temporarily retired and then brought back out of retirement and so on. Kind of like what I mentioned when I did a prediction podcast over this one, but yeah, I'll go ahead and bring the floor to you two. What do you two got on this battle here?
Pain, pure pain. Yeti's on my King of Draft team. I was expecting them to do a good run this season. Maybe they still will. I hope they do. That'd be great. But oh man, Mad Catter is freaking terrifying. That thing is fierce. Like they, Mad Catter, I think is gonna do a pretty solid run this season. I think they're gonna probably. I'm saying at least quarterfinals.
I have them at the top ranked position in my power rankings right now. So yeah, Mad Catter did do really well. Love that Yeti's back. As fun fact, if y'all didn't know, Yeti is kind of what brought me into BattleBots in the first place. As the first ever BattleBots fight I saw was Yeti versus Lockjaw. So that
Good
fight
fight.
that was a bomb ass fight, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, one
And
of my
so that
favorite
so that
fights of 2016.
so that fight has always had like a special place in my heart. So I've always like loved Yeti and Lockjaw because of that. Like when I heard Yeti was retiring a year ago, I honestly was starting to tear up just because, no more Yeti. But then when I saw fucking Greg Gibson doing a picture with Christian Carlberg and Yeti, I was fucking
I was
hyped.
hype.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
I was hella hyped. Then this happened, and my hopes got flushed down the toilet. Damn it.
Yeah, this was a really rough matchup for Yeti though. Like Mad Catter was, I get why the fight happened because they're it's kind of like the fight of the walk-ins who surprised everyone. Like in season 2, Yeti was just kind of like a walk-in who wasn't even supposed to initially compete. They were just like an alternate, and then they were like, "Yeah, sure, you can compete, whatever." And then they made the semifinals. Meanwhile, at season 4, Mad Catter, like, they didn't even apply for season 4. They literally just showed up with the Warhawk team, and they're like, "Look, we have a robot," and they were like, "All right, fine, we can fight with this thing." And then they got 2 wins, so it
Yeah.
was pretty cool. And last season, obviously, Mad Catter did very well, getting what 5 wins
Yeah.
Yep, 5
because they got 2
wins.
in the
Oh,
bounty.
Yep, 5 and
yeah.
2.
5 and 2, yeah. So Mad Catter definitely they're both kind of like similar, like vertical spinners with lifters as well, which were kind of like walk-ins in a way.
Yeah, this fight definitely did not go the way I was hoping for too. This is one of the picks I got wrong, one of the 4
Same.
picks I got wrong, and yeah, one of my big concerns when I did pick Yeti was the fact that Mad Catter is a vertical spinner, and drum spinners are not big fan of vertical spinners. We saw these two go weapon on weapon quite a few times, and Mad Catter won almost, if not all of them, as we saw Yeti go up in the air and stuff, and we didn't get to see too much of that drum spinner. And yeah, eventually Yeti's drum spinner died. We saw a chain come off as I think one of the weapon on weapon shots actually loosened it. And one of my parents, and while we were watching it, noticed that the drum spinner seemed to looked a little loose on one side, meaning Mad Catter might have struck one of those areas. And I don't know for sure if that's accurate. I need to rewatch the fight, but I take his word for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then eventually we saw Mad Catter knock off a wheel on Yeti, but I gotta give Yeti a lot of credit for hanging in there even without one of their wheels and without the drum spinner, because they lasted like a full like 60 something seconds after all that damage happened before they stopped moving and started getting counted out. So like Yeti's durability is definitely a lot better than it was last season, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely some gremlins with that weapon and stuff to work out. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is Mad Catter, who posted their damage report recently. But Mad Catter upped their motor power for this season. Like they got six motors in there, like making their
Jesus.
drive so much more powerful. And they were talking about like how well it drives for them. And believe it or not, supposedly it kind of seemed like there was a little luck involved with this fight because apparently they were having motor issues before this fight, and supposedly we're still able to get it in there working that easily after welding a piece to keep all the gears together. And supposedly a lot of them burnt out partway into the fight, and they were supposedly having mobility issues that weren't going to count them out, but were causing them to not drive as easily. So yeah, that's kind of my explanation on this fight. Anything else from you two?
Yeti, please bounce back.
Yeah, yeah. I'm,
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but I don't feel like I should because I feel like, in theory, that would be a spoiler. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I don't think we know any other Yeti or Mad Catter fights that are public yet, but
Well, the other Yeti fight is in fact public, but it kind of
oh yes, it is actually, because we know Yeti does have a main event with Scorpios coming eventually. That was
yeah,
said in one of the episode descriptions upcoming. So
yeah.
yeah, I think that'll be a tough fight for Yeti, but I'd look
I
forward to seeing them
I'd
bounce
probably
back.
go. I'd probably go Yeti on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Yeti on that. And by the way, Mad Catter's lifting arm is on eBay right now that you can buy it.
Yes, that's the other thing I wanted to mention because Mad Catter does have their lifting arm up on eBay as well as deadlift with several parts on eBay. So
Yeah, someone should buy one of those deadlift lifting arms.
yeah, if you want a Battlebots part, check out eBay. Like the Mad Catter part was going out for more than 100, but several of the deadlift parts, like you could get you I think with what they're going for right now, I think you could get them between $50 and $70 for one of those parts. Because like I currently have auctions in for both wedgelets and both armor pieces from the jackpot fight, and I'm currently winning all 4 of them with $50 bids, but I'm hoping to get outbidded on a few of them because I don't want all 4. But
Your boy.
yeah. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this one. Let's go ahead and get on to the next fight, where we got Rivat, and the return of the frog, who's taking on the other Vasquez robot, newcomer defender for this one. And yeah, Ribot came out with their vertical spinner configuration for this one. I think that was the right choice on their end and stuff, just because it really limits like the clamping arm usage that defender can go with, as we kind of saw in this fight. So, yep, I want to hear from you two on this one. So,
Yeah, I kind of just have to ask why the fuck do they keep doing this to Ribot? Like they've given Ribot rookies for most of its fights. Like in all of its fight night season since 2020, the only non-rookie that it has fought so far in fight night is Mad Catter. So I don't know why they keep doing this.
Oh, defender might be a rookie, but Jason Vasquez is definitely not a rookie. But I mean, I get what you mean. I 100% agree with you that Robot should have had an easier draw. It should have gotten like Witch
easier
Doctor or
draw.
something. If I'm being a harder draw. It should have gotten like Witch Doctor or like I don't know, like Yeti or something. Like Robot should have gotten a.
I'm telling Cordy you think that Defender is better than Yeti. I mean, Witch Doctor.
I mean, it might be. I don't know. We didn't really get to see the Defender have a chance to show its stuff. You know, like it just. That's the one thing that kind of was a bummer. Like it looks like it was controlled very well. It had a good moment where it pinned Ribot against the wall, but
Oh yeah,
it's way more fragile than I expected it to be. I mean, yes, it got destroyed by the 2021 champion Ribot's going all the way.
Lockjaw didn't beat
And,
it. What?
what?
Lockjaw didn't fight Defender this.
Oh,
this
Ribot, the
episode.
2021 champion. But like, I was expecting Defender to at least like be able to take a punch because Whiplash is a durable robot. You know, like I was expecting it not to like get killed in like a couple hits, but I feel Defender can bounce back. Hopefully they in we talk about how Ribot got an easy draw. I feel like Defender got a hard draw. I feel like being a rookie control about it probably should have gotten like I don't know, like Big Dill for its first fight or something. Like someone who's like pretty good but like won't like rip it open in his first shot. But besides that, Ribot going all the way. We're going 3-0. We're gonna take out Minotaur. We're gonna take out Gigabyte. We're gonna take out Lockjaw. We're gonna take out Tantrum. We're gonna win the Giant Nut. The Giant Nut's gonna be lifted up, hoisted up by a frog.
Everyone who's watching this right now, I want you all, when you all see Ribot lose in the postseason, even if it makes postseason, it probably will, but I want you all to remember this moment. If Ribot loses to some bot in the postseason,
I
and
will
then
eat my words if Ribot
I
loses.
want you all to go back to this video, timestamp the exact moment Pory says that Ribot is going all the way, and then just tell Pory funny stuff and make fun of him. Thank you.
Well, I mean, he's gonna
If
be.
Ribot
He's gonna
loses,
be.
bring it
I mean,
on.
you can't really timestamp that exactly when he's gonna be saying that every video that
I'm gonna be
Ribot
saying
fights and stuff.
I mean,
And
just put up a link.
even in other
Just,
podcasts, he's probably still gonna
just,
say that.
Another
put
thing
up
to
a
note
link.
with
Just
Ribot.
put up a
Another
link
thing to
of
note with
all the-
Ribot.
Just put up a link of all the Green Square podcasts. That'll do it.
Okay, so another thing to note with Ribot also that I was not aware. Well, I was aware of the bunny ears. That means when it fights Black Dragon next time and it gets flipped over, it can just like drive backwards into Black Dragon and hit it with its spinner from above, which is good. Then we'll beat Black Dragon. But I had zero idea. I had zero clue that they had a self-rider, which
Yeah, that was
I
one
think
thing
is
I
a
was
big
gonna
thing.
talk about because
Didn't know that.
I didn't realize that until they like waved it up in the air after they ripped Defender's asshole open.
yeah,
I was like, oh, they have a self-rider. Okay, that's a big move.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great move on Rivats' part to have a self-rider, because like we saw them lose the pushing game against Mad Catter, as well as run away and lose the pushing game against Black Dragon. So, self-rider would definitely help them in case if they get into a similar situation like that this season and stuff. But yeah, kind of like going to Defender here. Like Defender definitely proved they had a lot of push power because, like Pory said, they pinned Ribbot a few times. But also what Pory said, like Defender was definitely quite fragile here. Like I didn't expect Ribbot to tear off as many bits and pieces of Defender and as fast as they did and
I
stuff.
expected them to
Because
tear him off, but I didn't expect it to kill Defender.
yeah.
I thought it'd be like like a fight we'll talk about later, where Defender would get pieces ripped off of it and just still be like driving around vibing.
Yeah, because like I knew Ribot spinners were definitely powerful. Because like if I had the piece with me, I'd show you the piece of uppercut I own from the fight with Ribot. But it's currently at college right now, and I won't be going back there for until a few days from today. But yeah, but yeah, it also shocked me that Ribot had a self-running mechanism, as yeah, like what Pori said, like I
Big
knew
move.
Ribot was quiet on social media and stuff, because we don't typically see them post very often. Probably because lots of them are studying and stuff, because lots of them still go to school. But yeah,
Birds.
it was kind of fun. It was kind of a little funny. I'm not sure if they were taunting Deadlift or if they were just waving to the crowd with the self rider.
Deadlift.
I think it was the second one.
Yeah,
But
wow.
Wow, that's green. That's not till the final, man.
yeah, I'm not sure if Rivot was waving the self rider to the
Finals of
audience or if they were
Battlebots.
taunting Deadlift, but I think it's the first one.
Deadlift. Wow.
Just shut
You
Not
up.
hear this, really dark?
it's not deadlift, Green. How do you keep mixing this up?
I mean, lifter about to start with D. I mean,
Oh.
I
Oh, that part. Thought I was saying Deadlift was lifting self rider, but yeah. Uh, but yeah, Pori clearly gets into my head too much that it's gonna be Ribot and Deadlift in the finals.
I mean,
So
it's
even
gonna
though we
happen.
know it's
It's
gonna be Minotaur and Black Dragon, so
yo,
You know,
okay.
everyone
It's gonna be
keeps
robot deadlift. I'm gonna be waving that deadlift arm in the air, and I'm gonna be beautiful.
everyone keeps saying everyone keeps saying PTSD stands for post traumatic stress disorder, but it's actually standing for pory traumatic stress disorder.
that's kind of funny.
Green, kick him off your podcast. That was terrible.
But yeah,
I thought it
Defender's
was
definitely
decent.
gonna have a heck of a repair job to do after that fight and stuff. But
They can do
I think they
it.
got the team to do it and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't count out Defender quite yet. As I want to see them in action a little more because I think this was a really tough draw. But the other thing I want to mention is because like Pete Abramson said that Jason Vasquez was running 5 different controls for
Sick.
that robot and stuff,
Yeah, 6.
or was it 6?
He said
That's
six.
6.
Yeah.
Oh, 6. But either way, though, like that really makes it feel like this robot is pretty hard to drive, which I give Jason Vasquez a lot of credit for and stuff. But yeah, yeah, it also seemed like some parts of it were not working coming into this fight, but I don't know exactly. But yeah, because the self rider was clearly not working after Ribot got a few hits in. But either way, though, I want to see another fight from Defender before I make a bunch of big assumptions and it's like some of these first, mostly because I want to
Yeah.
see a little more action out of that robot, and I feel like we'll be able to get that in their second fight. So, but then with Ribot, definitely a good showing, a dominant performance from them. Yeah, kind of like the last matchup. I don't think any matchups have been publicly released for either of these two robots yet, but I imagine Ribot's probably going to get a big draw for their second opponent and after that victory. So
Yeah, I don't see why they'd give Ribot fucking axolotl again or something for their second fight.
yeah.
Hey,
Anything else, or should we get to fight number 3? All right, Jinx and Mammoth, and Yeah, we know Civilian Arc smiling there, and
Ha ha
yeah,
ha
but
ha ha ha
yeah,
ha
this one was a
ha.
little unfortunate and stuff, cause like yeah, cause I was watching Hijinx's video on their recap on this fight, which they also include recaps from all their previous fights. It kind of like inspired a lot of their big design changes for this year, and I gotta admit, like, even though this fight did not go Hijinx's way, I still have hope for Hijinx that they could still do well this season, mostly because of lots of the stuff that Jen was talking about in that video. And yeah, so I'll leave the floor to you two. What do you two got in this battle?
Pory, I just want to ask, who did you predict for this fight?
Um, I predicted hijinks for this fight, but they did have, but they did have a hit on Mammoth that could have been fatal had it gone a little further. And if
Uh,
hijinks hadn't if its wheel hadn't randomly fallen off, they probably would have won.
I mean, all I really gotta say is, imagine predicting hijinks to beat Mammoth. I personally couldn't relate to that, if I'm being honest. I mean, fucking, I see Mammoth like pulling out upsets all out the wazoo, like this ain't even an upset. And everyone's all like, yeah, hijinks is gonna be the David Stern. It's gonna take out Mammoth and make them
The
figure out why the
David
league's
Stern.
losing money. But then Mammoth's all like fuck, and then says, I don't give a shit," and then it throws Hijinx's wheel out of the stratosphere, and then it all just comes together in the end,
I mean,
like
I
a
don't know
giant.
what fight you watched. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know
the
what
last,
fight you watched because the wheel bit is false that you said right there. But
yeah, it just fell
I was
off, dude.
joking. I was
Like
joking,
Mammoth
you
won.
fool.
Mammoth won for sure, but like I wouldn't call that a good win. Really, it was just kind of
yeah.
lackluster. Like it was good
I wouldn't
enough, I
call
guess.
I wouldn't call
Yeah,
hijinks a
my
good
gut
loss.
saw this outcome coming and stuff because yeah, because I will admit this was a really tough draw for Hijinks because a robot like Mammoth is it's really tough for an undercutter to get a good quality hit on a bot like Mammoth, and that was some problems that Hijinks was having. But the thing is, there was a little luck and a design error involved for Mammoth with this one because if you looked closely right after Mammoth flipped, well, got that big lift that spun Hijinks out of control and eventually the wheel fell off, if you look closely at one of the pipes at the bottom right, you notice that part of it was split and stuff. Well, I shouldn't say exactly split. It's more like there was a gash in it, similar to like what Huge was able to do to Mammoth. Part basically, basically what I'm saying is I think Hijinks partially cut into it, and if they managed to cut all the way, Mammoth would collapse, and I don't know how they'd be able to move from there, but yeah, and so what I should mention next, because we did see Hijinks spin out of control and the wheel fell off, Jen explained what happened really well in that fight as well as all the previous ones in her video. Check that out and stuff, because I found it a bit entertaining at times. Jen really made that video fun and so on. Shout out to her, but yeah, what ended up happening, man, like it's really sad to see something like that happen because like they brought the robot into the pits to try to find out what happened. Their internals were all intact because lots of the improvements they made in spite of like the Claw Viper fight worked out for them. Um, but what they noticed is when they spun out of control because of that lift by Mammoth, one screw holding the wheel in place got unscrewed and the wheel fell out. So
Snap.
yeah, mind blown and stuff. So,
I mean,
but either way,
that
a win's a win. Though I wouldn't say it's definitely a good quality win exactly for Mammoth. I think
it's not a good quality
like
win, but
I'd probably say this is kind of like in the middle between the quality of their win against Deadlift and the quality of and the amazing quality of that win against Huge. But
I
yeah.
mean, it's not a good win by any means, but at least I can tell everyone that predicted hijinks to win to go shove it, so it works out for me in the end just fine.
Yeah.
That's a weird fight to get on a pedestal about.
I have more. I have more. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, buddy.
Sure. So,
Okay.
all right. Anything else on this fight? But yeah, I haven't lost. But yeah, kind of like as of what I said. Supposedly, Hijinks did not take. Hijinks had minimal to no other damage other than that. So like the fact that all their design improvements seem to have worked out for them, I haven't lost hope in Hijinks yet, as have I with Mammoth
Oh,
yet, because I think Mammoth. I'm expecting Mammoth's probably gonna pull out another surprise or two for us, like what they did last season. But yeah, anything else from you two on this fight or fight number 4? I'm
number
thinking
4.
fight number 4. All right, so now we got Rotator and Kraken. So yeah, I mentioned this in the prediction podcast. I mentioned this before watching this episode for the first time, but I was predicting this fight was going to be the most destructive one and be an absolute bloodbath. And Chris and Kennedy quoted me on that, and towards the end of that fight too, and because it definitely was a highly destructive match. So let's go ahead and hear from you two on this one.
Uh,
You want to go?
yeah, that was just a very brutal matchup for sure. I mean, and I know I saw a lot of people online complaining about the Unstick being aired, but if in theory Battlebots hadn't spoiled this fight by posting an image of Kraken's teeth and wheel ripped off on the website for the season 2 thumbnail, then I probably would have been on the edge of my seat, like, oh, is Kraken gonna actually win this because they're stuck together? Although I guess maybe they changed the rules, but isn't the stuck together rule only supposed to apply to like if it's past like the halfway point? Because that wasn't only like a minute in, I believe.
I don't
I
know
think
for
that
sure, but it's got to be something close to that, but who knows?
Yeah, and maybe they changed it. I don't know, but other than that, it was a very impressive fight on Rotators, and even to an extent, impressive on Kraken's end. The fact that it survived that, like, as far as the reboot era goes, that's got to be the most amount of damage a robot's taken, where it was still moving around at the end.
this fight is probably the main example of why I think episode 2 fights were better quality than episode 1. Because all in all, episode 2 didn't have much like at great of fights either. But Kraken versus Rotator is probably my favorite fight of the season so far. Even though that's not really a high bar, at least for me, because there's no really fight that I say is like A quality. Actually, this fight might be A quality, but like low A quality, maybe. So, but yeah, this was a fun fight to watch. I don't really get what people are complaining about the unstick part. Now,
I
I
thought
did
that
know
the drama.
I did see the jaw being ripped off in the pic that Pory is talking about. I don't remember a wheel being taken off, so I
It
don't.
was
Yeah,
it was
I
missing the wheel in the pick.
I don't
I
remember
didn't know.
either, but I'll take Pory's word for it.
I thought the missing jaw was just like a design for against horizontals, but is what I first thought. But I guess that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So yeah, the first until they had to get unstuck, I felt Kraken was winning this one because Rotator did get a few nice hits in, but Kraken had all the aggression, all the control, and then they got a nice bite in right there that unfortunately got them stuck together. But kind of like what Pory said, I don't get why people have a problem with that because like it kind of showed me that Rotator was based off of the fact that Rotator was clearly seemed to be shaking loose when they first tried to separate them in that clip. But it, I didn't have a problem with it. Like if there was somebody who's watching this, reply down below with why you thought it was an issue or something like that. I'm honestly
I'm
really
curious, yeah.
curious. Like you're not gonna get any
yeah, like
disrespect or anything like that from me. I'm just curious what the
yeah,
problem with that was, but.
yeah, like I forgot who disliked it out between like Oblivion and TARDIS, but I was
I
confused
think it
when
was
they
Oblivion.
Yeah.
had.
Uh,
I think it might have been Oblivion, but I was confused when he said that he didn't like it. I was like, what? What was wrong with it?
Yeah, I mean that would have been really awkward if Kraken had Rotator in his mouth for like like 30 seconds, and like then the ref was just like let go, and then it just clips immediately to them out of it. Especially since Rotator got that massive hit on Kraken pretty quickly.
I
It would have
mean,
been really jarring to watch.
In my opinion, there should be more unstuck.
Oh, I
Stuck bots
agree.
getting unstuck. Like Gruff versus Extinguisher is a good example of that because
Yeah, it's just like 1 second they're stuck together, and then it's just like the next second they're just like
and like
2 feet apart from each other.
And like Gruff versus Extinguisher was painfully obvious that they got
Yeah.
unstuck. And I feel like another reason that it should is because there can be damage that bots take even when they're getting unstuck. Because like Extinguisher lost its weapon when it got unstuck. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I feel like there should be more of unstuck, but not. I think there should be more stuck, but not going immediately to the judges being put in place here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, on to the rest of this fight. The last 2 minutes were pretty much all Rotator, because like we saw
Yeah.
Rotator shred apart a wheel, and then we saw a big explosion, and yeah, Kraken lost her teeth as well. Can't forget that. Can't forget that. But yeah, a lot happened in that 2 minutes. Wally also got murdered, and yeah, the arena was covered in foam and other parts that Rotator managed to destroy. But yeah, before they got stuck, we saw Kraken, and who originally wanted when they got that bite, Matsberg ordered flames to be used and stuff, as he normally would when they get a bite on an opponent. But rather than seeing them use the flamethrower on Rotator and stuff like what we've seen them do in the past, we saw Kraken's frame kind of went up in flames and stuff. And what happened there? It's not confirmed yet, but I guess that I have based off of like what somebody I know said and stuff while we were watching this episode is that either Kraken came in with this or one of Rotator's hits did this, but they might have had a leak in the fuel tank, and
Yeah.
fuel going all up in the frame and stuff would cause something like that to happen. But yeah, and then what that explosion was, Kraken is a pneumatics crusher. I guarantee that was the sack or the bag or whatever you call that that's filled up with gas that they use to power their crusher. My guess is that's what happened and what caused that big of an explosion, because Kraken did increase the power of that crusher by a lot, and I am curious how much damage that did to Rotator. I'm hoping we'll be able to see a damage report at some point from them just to see exactly what ended up occurring, as well as a fight report from Kraken, because I don't think either of them have posted one at this moment. So, but yeah, gotta give Kraken a lot of credit for the fact that they took so much damage in that one, but were still able to keep moving, and they were highly aggressive until they lost that wheel. So,
Yeah.
all right, last question is, what do you think of the judges' decision and stuff? But
Wrong.
Yeah, it was fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Rotator should have made quarterfinals. What the fuck is this?
True. Based.
yeah, I think they got it right because the damage was pretty much all Rotator. Even with the lost wheel, I'd still give Kraken an edge in aggression, but I would give Rotator an edge in control, though, because yeah. But either way, though,
Also, I.
great performance from Kraken. You gotta give Kraken so much credit for that,
Oh
because
yeah. Oh yeah.
like I'm not sure which was a bigger beating between that or their fight with Huge last season, but it really
Nah.
could go either way in my
Rotator.
opinion. But
Rotator probably. Because
100%
Kraken
Rotator.
didn't lose its wheels against Huge, at least from what I remember.
There was no explosion.
There was no
The
explosion
top jaw
either.
never got ripped out like that.
I'm pretty sure. Didn't it get ripped out? I think
they
it got
did
ripped
lose.
But not
They
like
didn't lose
that.
the teeth. They did lose the gas bag in one of the hits though, and they did
Yeah.
lose like
Hello.
all of the top part of Kraken that guards lots of those internals in the fight with Huge. But which is why it really could go either way in my opinion. But all right, I think it's on to the next fight, unless if you guys got anything else.
Uh, will Rotator justifiably make quarterfinals this year? Find out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think Rotator does have a really good shot at quarterfinals because they looked really good after
It's
that.
like last
But then
year.
they got a real test coming next where they're taking on my King of Draft pick, Black Dragon, which was revealed in the
Could
first
go either
episode of
way.
the
That could
trailer.
that
That's
could that could go either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a heck of a battle, and whoever wins that one, I think even a loser too. I think that's gonna be a big statement either way.
I'd
So,
probably predict Pory too on it, but you
all
never
right, and
know.
so now here's the next one where I had probably my hottest prediction ever, and I unfortunately was
Weirdo.
wrong about. But we got
Weirdo.
Rusty and Blip here, and so Blip came coming in with their kinetic powered flipper. I forget what they call what they called the type of flipper and stuff. I don't know if you can.
Flywheel.
What?
Flywheel
Flywheel
flipper.
Yeah, flywheel flipper was what they called it. But yeah, kinetic is kind of like the basics of it, which is what I believe Dave Eaton said. But flywheel flipper, that pretty much Flip was coming in with some new tech for this one, and it impressed me honestly. Like yeah, I knew the flipper was powerful because like I did watch the video where they introduced that flipper and they flipped every past version of Tantrum, and yeah, it impressed me, and it was kind of fun watching Rusty get flipped from like near the middle of the arena all the way into like one of the corners and stuff. But I'll go ahead and bring the floor to you two on this one before I get criticized by Civilian Arc for making that prediction.
Wanna go first, buddy? Oh, man. Okay. Uh, yeah, this was a fun showing from Blip, I guess. I mean, it I kind of like the style of the new Rusty Hammer, I guess. Uh, I have a question for you guys. I don't really know the answer to this, but I mean, when Blip got that first flip in on Rusty, there was some kind of things falling off of, I forgot which bot, but there was like stuff falling off and coming all over the floor. I don't know if you guys know what that is, what that was.
I wouldn't recall what you're talking about. I might pull it up on my phone or something like that and see. Go
Yeah, I
ahead,
don't
keep
know.
talking.
Maybe bits of Rusty.
Yeah, that's what it could be.
But like my first guess was like parts of its tread, but I was like, is that really what happened?
Yeah, because like Rusty's
That's how I
treads were looked a little loose coming into the fight
Yeah.
and stuff, but
Also, I'm really saddened by Rusty because it looks even shittier than it did last year, which is a feat.
Well, they didn't expect to run the old model because the first one
Oh
wasn't,
yeah,
the new one wasn't quite ready yet. So
yeah,
yeah.
they had
Dave
to
Eaton
scrap
did
together
post
this
like
one.
a three
I
paragraph long
remember he did
social
post
media
that. Yeah.
post about what occurred involving this one because like they had issues getting the parts ready and stuff and had issues with getting the robot put together, and check out that social media post for
Yeah, it's a
the
good one.
basics on that. So yeah, what do you got on this fight, Pory, while I'm checking out
I
this clip?
mean, no offense to Rusty, but it was a very good, you know, very good test demo for Blip.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why they made this fight happen. Like
I,
they could have made
I,
like they could have
have
made
a.
like Blip fight Rivat and make Defender fight Rusty, and that would have been
I
made a little
I
more
feel like
sense.
I feel like now that Axe Backwards is not in this season, Rusty will be the new Axe Backwards. So like the
Yeah,
experimental bot in this case, Blip is taking on Rusty. Rusty is now the test dummy now of
yeah.
BattleBots because Krieger
Rusty's
just
the
fucked
jobber
off.
now, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I'm not exactly seeing what you're talking about, Civilian, but it's possible that I might not be looking too closely enough or something like that. But
Let me rewatch the fight. I could have been high or some shit. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, either way though, yeah, I think this was probably one of the best matchups that Blip probably could have gotten for this one, and I feel
Yeah.
like Battlebots probably did it just as like yeah, kind of like what Civilian said, kind of like a test match for Blip, because like I think if I think if Blip was to get underneath anyone, I think Rusty's probably one of the easiest robots to get underneath, and that could be a potential reason for why they did this matchup. But either way, the robot worked really well, and it was very exciting to see. I was already hyped for Blip coming into this season, and I can't wait to see Blip's second matchup and stuff. Like, it's revealed they're going to take on Valkyrie at some point based off of the trailer and stuff, as well as the fact that my 6th round pick in King of Draft is going to get Witch Doctor at some point too, which that's what I gotta say. That's what I gotta say about that matchup and stuff. Like, I love Rusty. Like, I imagine Dave Eaton might have asked for a big opponent like that, but just the fact that that's a huge mismatch is kind of like the reason for that sign and so on. So yeah, anything else from you guys on this one? All right, next fight it is. All right, so then next up we got my other King of Draft robot that fought in this episode, and I predicted to win, unfortunately, but didn't happen. We got Malice and Tantrum. And so, yeah, Malice came out with one of their new horizontal spinners for this one that they designed for this, hoping to get a lot more bite into Tantrum. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for them because we saw one big shot between Tantrum and Malice's spinner, and Malice lost their spinner for the rest of the fight, which I'll explain in a bit what happened there, because Malice did explain what happened there really well on social media, and I'll go ahead and bring the floor to you two on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I, I, I mean, it's too early to tell. We'll see in the next fight or two, but I think Tantrum has a better driver than Aaron Hill this year. I think.
It's
I
up
think.
there.
I think the new driver is just phenomenal. Like that's the best driving performance I've seen in Battlebots
I mean,
in a
a
long
lot
time.
a lot of people, I don't think you two said this, but like a lot of people were like, "Oh, Tantrum's fucked because now Aaron Hill's going to Blip," but a
But
lot of
clearly
people,
not.
a lot of people didn't take into account is Aaron wouldn't really leave a fucking dumbass on the wheel on the driving wheel of Tantrum.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, because
like
like
he
I
wouldn't
said,
just like
yeah,
find
because
me in
like
the
I
audience
what
and
I
here
ended up
for it.
saying was that I said there were like concerns involving that potentially, but then I said that that's probably not the case this time around. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not confident that they're screwed or anything like that. But go ahead and
that's
keep
what I
going,
was
civilian.
thinking.
can I go on my rant now?
Yep.
Uh, not yet, not yet.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but just so you know, I had faith in Tantrum. I predicted Tantrum, and quite frankly, I was in the camp of Aaron isn't gonna just like give. Aaron wasn't gonna like find me in the audience and just hand me the controller. But here, drive this robot. You know, like people had practice. You know, and I'm pretty sure the driver was on the team already before anyway. So, but I can't get past how good that driving was. Honestly, now you can go on your rant.
Here, I'll go ahead and give
Yep.
my explanation. I'll let you rant at
That
the
you
end,
go ahead.
civilian, and it
Alright.
makes sense. So yeah, I gotta agree with Pory that Tantrum's driving was phenomenal in that fight. I'm not sure if it's better than Aaron Hill's or not, but because
We'll see.
I think his driving, I think Aaron Hill's driving performance against Gamma 9 and Sawblaze was also phenomenal. But either way, though, that driving was fantastic from Tantrum. I think he did a terrific job. What ended up happening to Malice is basically a motor issue and stuff. They didn't lose their belt this time, and they were celebrating that. And yeah, basically they had I believe a gearbox. I think is what they called it, attached to the top that broke on that weapon on weapon shot that was damaged from Tantrum's spinner. But yeah, I see what Pory's grabbing. I know what he's grabbing, but yeah. And then we saw a push fight from there where Tantrum was getting quite a few big hits in. But then we saw Tantrum's weapon die probably about a minute of the way through, and they lost. I think they might have lost a puncher too. But either way, though, I think the judges definitely got this one right, and might as well show off some of my stickers too. Because yeah, Malice did a big giveaway recently for stickers, and Pory and I happened to both win some. Oh,
Did you
Jesus,
get
and
a
a
magnet?
magnet, actually. I just
Yeah, did you
realized
get a
it.
magnet? I got
Yeah,
because yeah,
I'll have to attach that to my fridge when I get back to college.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Bunny as Malice has the best swag. So,
I know she hooked it up. I'm very happy with the pack. I mean, it was free, so
but yeah,
I'm
I'm
happy
assuming
either
you
way.
guys
But
probably agree with the decision, but yeah, I
no.
agree to the decision as well. I'd give Malice a damage and aggression point, but everything else I'd give to Tantrum and stuff. But all right, Civilian, the floor is yours.
No, when Green first told me that he would predict Malice over Tantrum, I was like, okay, he's just doing it for the merch, you know. He just wants that free merch he usually gets. Then I thought, but then some of my friends, like my buddy Frost and even Miles and Kevin, said that they were going Malice for this one. So I was like, okay, maybe I just have a bunch of friends who are fucking weirdos. And I have a bunch of people that also watch BattleBots at my school. 20 of them say that Malice would beat Tantrum. I feel like I was in Groundhog's Day because no one is trusting a Tantrum ever on this. I see
Hey,
Tantrum
I have
doubters
one
here.
question. Civilian.
I see Tantrum doubters here. I see Tantrum doubters there. Left, right. It's fucking everywhere.
I will say though, that's not the reason why I picked Tantrum and because of Malice merch and stuff.
It's all over the English website of how we doubt Tantrum all the time. It's like America's funniest home videos, and they're all predicting Malice to beat Tantrum.
20 people IRL who watch BattleBots?
So, in other words, I told you, fucker. So,
Wait, Civilian.
uh,
You know 20 people IRL who watch BattleBots?
Yeah.
What? I don't know what he said.
Yeah,
said yes.
yeah, he said yes. So I
Oh.
only know two
Wow,
people
lucky.
that watch BattleBots in real
I know
life.
like
That
zero. All my
I
friends are like,
well,
I'm gonna give it a
I know
shot, and then
two
they
people
never
in
do.
college that watch BattleBots other than me. I have family members that also watch BattleBots, both
I've been making
at
my
home
grandma watch it.
and out of town. So yeah, I will say that merch is not the reason why I picked Malice for this one, but I could say it's a minor reason, but the two big reasons are not that and
I
stuff.
know the
But
big reason.
yeah, where
Oh,
are the
I
big
know the
reasons
big
then
reason
for
too.
you? Go with them.
You know?
I'll put it in podcast chat for you, Green.
I'm just gonna go on to the next fight because I don't want to. Yeah, we're just gonna avoid all the lies that Pory and Civilian are gonna go on about now. So, all right, it's time for the main event where I don't want to know what the heck you put in the Discord there, Civilian Arc, but all right. So then we got Whiplash and Bloodsport here for the main event, and so Bloodsport posted a video before, like not long, a few days before this fight happened, of the new Tri-Bar spinner they came to the season with, one of the big design upgrades, along with the fact that they also made some internal upgrades that they talked about in their fight recap video from this fight, and yeah, so I'll go ahead and leave the floor to you two on this one. So, well, I check
All right.
what the
Uh,
heck Civilian Arc posted
okay.
in there.
I just want to say that was a beautifully driven main event on both sides.
Yes.
This is nowhere near my favorite main event, but in terms of driving, it is definitely up there.
Mhm.
Because I've given Bloodsport a lot of shit for just killing its weapon at times, but this is a circumstance where they definitely needed to be like, cautious about when to use their weapon or not, and they definitely were cautious. And I don't know if Green saw the thing I put yet or
Yup,
not,
I
but
did. And
ha 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 ha.
you're just jealous that you don't have Battlebots teams that support you and stuff. Cause like
I literally told you
Malice
that
has commented on
bro.
what the heck, Pory? What the heck is that GIF you just posted? Yeah, because like Malice supports me on Instagram.
The
The
Deep
Black Dragon
16.
team supports me on Instagram. I have subscribers from Gigabyte on YouTube. I think there's just a little bit of jealousy there, Civilian Arc there. So
There's
I wish some teams backed me. I mean,
Deep Six.
I've
The
had some good working
Deep
relationships, so
Deep Six team literally invited me to watch testing. I
where's
don't
the
know what
video
you're on
proof?
about, buddy.
I believe civilians. I mean,
Why would I lie about like a random bot like Deep Six? Like, if I said like, oh, Witch Doctor invited me to watch testing, then you could call me out on that. But I don't think Deep Six is that far of a stretch. I mean, they went to one of their team members went to ARC. They got me a Deep Six poker chip, and apparently I'm big on the Deep Six team because of a reaction I had on one of the ARC fights, which I guess is cool. So yeah, but yeah, good main event. Not anywhere close to like a top tier main event, but it was good.
yeah, yeah, it was definitely a fun main event for sure. I mean, the driving was definitely on. One thing I'll say though is Bloodsport was definitely running away a lot of the time,
I mean,
which I
yeah,
noticed.
but
I get
I
why, but like, yeah, Whiplash definitely had that in the bag. The one thing I'll say is this fight also made me like the upper deck a little more because like any robot could Whiplash could flip over a robot any day of the week, but to flip him over on top of the upper deck like that was pretty masterful, honestly.
yeah,
And I
one
know
thing
there's a
I
few people namely people in like the BattleBots group who are like, "Oh, the upper deck ruined the fight." It's like, bro, if your upper deck wasn't there, he would have flipped it and it would have been a little less impressive. Like it was
yeah
the
I feel
same outcome.
yeah, like I feel like what people don't take into account is that the upper deck didn't really do much in the outcome necessarily. Like
Yeah, it just looked cooler.
Bloodsport would still have been immobilized, and, and so yeah, but like I mean, if there was no upper deck, Bloodsport would still get immobilized. It would just not be like,
Exactly.
oh,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I wasn't like I wouldn't say impressed with Whiplash's play on the upper deck because the
I
upper
was.
deck
I was masterful, man.
it was masterful, but the upper deck to me kind of just like is currently in just the like, oh, this thing fucking exists. That's my stasis on it right now.
Oh, I mean that's how it is for me too. But that doesn't mean that Whiplash's move wasn't impressive. Like that was just
What?
really cool seeing that they were able to. Like that's the first upper deck knockout. They lifted Bloodsport onto there. Like Whiplash. That just proves how like Whiplash is able to adapt so quickly to a drastic change in the arena.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had this thought or not, but you don't have to agree or disagree with me on this here. But did Vasquez's driving seem a little bit shaky to you guys? Cause like hear me out on this one. Like
Define shaky.
Cause like with when they fought Valkyrie, Whiplash was on them in seconds, and even when Valkyrie was driving away to try to get spun up, Whiplash was on them once again and stuff. Bloodsport was getting a really decent amount of space from Whiplash to get spun up and land some big hits, and we were seeing some pretty big damage to that plow and
At
stuff.
first, I thought like one of the Bloodsport hits actually like jammed up the lifter just because of like that one shot. Like thought I saw the like lifter like crooked, and I'm like, oh my fuck,
I
did
also
Bloodsport
think it's
actually just pull
possible
this
that
off?
Whiplash might have been having trouble with the floor too, because there
Yeah, I
were a
think
few
it could have
moments
been
where
the
I think
new
the floor might have
configuration.
jammed up because of those wedgelets he added to that were added to
Yeah,
the front of that plow. I think that I would guess to counter Bloodsport's wedgelets, but
that's definitely a
Another
possibility.
thing that might be the case is it just might be that Bloodsport is a faster robot than Whiplash.
Yeah, Bloodsport is a
that's
pretty fast
possible too.
robot. Bloodsport is like probably one of the
Well, it's
one of
probably
if
the
not the
fastest
fastest.
horizontal.
Oh yeah, it is in fact the fastest horizontal spinner out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like in my opinion, I think until the shelf got involved, I think Bloodsport would have had this one because
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely close. Like you can definitely make the arguments why Whiplash was winning that at like what Pory was stating. Like you could definitely make some good arguments about that, but the damage was
I,
really stacking up on Whiplash until Bloodsport was getting the shelf involved because because like there were some pretty big cuts and tears into that plow, and even I think part of the lifter too and stuff. But then, yeah, kind of like what Pory said,
No,
I also disagree with a lot of the hate that some people have been talking towards the shelf and
Me
yeah,
stuff
too.
like
after this one, because like some people, like what Pory said, there were some people in the Facebook group that either said I hate the shelf now or the shelf ruined the main event. I think there was even some
yeah,
talk in King of Draft about that too. One of the Discord servers we're in,
yeah,
but yeah,
I made it better.
I personally think it was a great use of the hazard by Whiplash, and as well was kind of, it was kind of an impressive seeing Bloodsport stuck upside down up there and so on. But
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
In response to your comment about the decision, the reason why I'm saying I would have given it the Whiplash is I saw a lot of Scorpios versus Ice Wave in this fight. I think that's the best way to explain it. Like the horizontal is definitely doing more damage, but the the one that isn't the horizontal is like driving it better, and the horizontal's kind of running away from it at times. That's why I kind of thought like if it went to a judge's decision, it would probably be Whiplash's fight. It would be a close one, granted, but I would probably go Whiplash.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
in my opinion, I'd probably side with Green on this one, but barely.
It
As
would be
you
close.
could you could definitely make a case as why Whiplash could have won the decision, but I mean, Bloodsport was doing damage, and I mean, I just do think that Bloodsport was on top of the fight. It wasn't really like, oh, Bloodsport was dominating. It was more like neck and neck with Bloodsport like barely edging out.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Bloodsport did post a video on why they couldn't self-right. My original guess, which ended up being false, was because they actually, one of the changes they made to that tri-bar spinner is its diameter was cut by like I believe 6 to 8 inches, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was thinking like the reduced size of the blade kept them from self-righting, but
Isn't it
apparently it
overheat?
was actually a internal issue because
Yeah.
it's hard to explain. You need to check out the video and stuff, but they have an electric box in there that it kind of like serves the purpose of like keeping their motors from overheating, like a problem that they had from last season. And one of the improvements they made involving that failed them, and they were having some overheating issues, it sounds like. But do check out that video, as what they said in there is probably like is much better explained than what I'm stating right here. So yeah, check out their Facebook or their Instagram, because that's what you can find the video in on both of those pages. So
I do have a hot take on this fight that probably both Pory and Green will probably disagree with me on, but I'll just say it anyway. If Bloodsport went with its blade design that it went with against Scorpios, it probably would have won this.
maybe.
Because the thing about it is that while it doesn't have the same amount of reach as the Tribar does, it still its spin up time is probably much faster than thing. Because I remember like when Scorpios rammed it into the wall, like once Scorpios released, Bloodsport's weapon was back in like two ticks or something.
Maybe. I don't
Well,
really know the answer to that for sure.
I also heard though that Scorpios used like an old frame in that fight, and I think that's what kind of caused Bloodsport to like gash it open like that. That's what I heard. I could be wrong about that, but
I don't know, but
I don't know.
But yeah, this was definitely a better main event. I think the other two would agree with that, even though I know one of them already did mention that.
Oh yeah,
But
I
yeah, I
feel
do.
like this fight is definitely better than Hydra versus Endgame, but it's nothing special really. This is it's kind of like the same principle as something like Son of Waiachi versus Whiplash or something to that extent. I do hope that the episode 3 main event is like an extreme banger,
yeah,
and it has good potential to be as well.
yeah, definitely. It's
Become a
yeah, can't
supporter.
wait
Become a
to
supporter on Facebook, and you can
yep,
find out.
can't wait to find out what that main event is on Monday for supporters, and Wednesday for non-Battlebot supporters. So
Don't we
Pory
all?
and I will get to
Yeah.
see the main event and the fight card on
Even
Monday, and
though all three of us
maybe
already
Civilian
know.
Arc will become a Battlebot supporter over the weekend, and
Nope.
then wow, that was a quick no right there.
I
So
don't trust
Greg
online
Munson,
purchases.
you watching this?
yeah,
I don't trust online purchases. Deal with it.
Deep Six, you watching this right now?
What does Deep Six have to do with this?
Though the fact that you had a quick no that you're not going to be a BattleBot supporter, how would Deep Six feel about that? Is the thing.
Because they'd
Yeah,
assume that I'm fucking flat ass broke, and they'd just say, "Hey, I hope it gets better for
I
you,
mean you're
buddy,"
not a
or
college
something.
student, and yeah, I'm a BattleBot supporter on Facebook.
Yeah, but you also have like credit cards and shit. I don't.
Get your parents. When's your mom going to be on the podcast too, Civilian?
When I
Word
die.
up.
But yeah, so yeah, this will conclude it for the televised fights portion of this fight card. I will hopefully see you soon and stuff, because following this, like 10 seconds after I finish talking here, we'll start the clip where Pory and I will discuss Shatter and Sub-Zero, as well as doing the power rankings. Civilian did send me his power rankings. We did feature it on this section, in that section of the video, and yeah. So yeah, I'll see you then.
Transition.
You feature
All right. Hello, everybody, once again. And yeah, welcome back to the podcast here. And yeah, you're going to notice there's a fewer number of co hosts here and stuff, mostly because we're recording this at a time where the bonus fight is only public for Battlebot supporters, and the others probably wouldn't want the fight spoiled to them. So it's just us to explain this part and do the power rankings portion of this. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get to talking about the YouTube exclusive fight, which is Shatter and Sub-Zero. Gotta show off the Shatter scarf because this thing is absolutely rad.
Yeah, I have one. I should have broke it out. I have it on my shelf. But yeah, it's a very nice scarf.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely worth every penny I spent to get it. Alright, so kind of like onto this fight here, we get to see the debut of both robots. And if you checked out Shatter's video coming into this fight, they came in with an anti-control bot configuration for their front. And yeah, and then with their original hammerhead, at least from last season and so on. I'm not sure if it was exactly the same one, but the same design and so on. And I'm guessing we'll see the new configuration in a future fight. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go ahead and bring the floor to you, Pory. What do you got on this fight?
I mean, Shatter was killing it. Like I didn't expect it to straight up like knock like panels off of Sub Zero's flipper, but I mean that hammer is fierce. Although I gotta say, if Sub Zero, I mean, it looked like its flipper didn't work or something. But like, if its flipper had worked, I think Sub Zero would have won this fight because it had a lot of good moments where it was underneath Shatter and it had like a prime moment to get some flips in, but it just wasn't able to capitalize on it. And that ended up killing it. And also, another funny thing about this fight is that uh, for the King of Drought, our buddy Yin has like a bingo going on where each robot has a where there's like different scenarios where if it happens, it checks off. Like if a robot hits the ceiling, you check off a block, and then they're randomized. And one of the blocks is shatter causes a snipes a battery and causes a lipo fire, and it actually did do that in this fight. So we actually get to mark that off, and I didn't think we were gonna this year because he did because one of the team's other robots caused a really gnarly battery fire in a live event.
Yeah, solid enough stuff. And yeah, like what Pory said, we did see some smoke coming out of Sub-Zero midway through. Fortunately, we are in a Discord server that Shatter happens to be in, and they revealed to us that that was a lipo fire, like what Pory said. And so, Pory, if that square was on your bingo card, I bet you're happy you got to check that off. I don't know if it's on
Oh
yours or
yeah,
not, but I know
yeah,
it wasn't on mine though. Oh,
yeah.
but there was a regular lipo fire was on my bingo card, but I got to check that off after Sawblaze set off a
Episode.
lipo battery on Minotaur, and
You
But
got
yeah,
something
kind of
from
like
that fight
overall with
at
this
least.
fight, I felt this was a really impressive performance from Shatter, and
Yeah.
because like what Pory said, they put holes in the flipper of Sub-Zero, and I did not expect Shatter to do that much damage compared to what they did here. What I really wanted to see is there were a couple times where Spitfire was coming in a little close to
I
Shatter.
wanted to see it knock it out of
I
the
wanted to
air.
see them fire the
I did
hammer
too.
right into the drone, but yeah, I gotta wonder what was up with Sub-Zero and their weapon for this fight. I haven't heard a damage report or anything like that, mostly because this fight isn't public as of now. But Sub-Zero's flipper was definitely off, like what Pory said, because basically the first bit of it, we saw it get a small lift at the beginning, and then nothing. Even when they had some real opportunities to get some flips in. And then, like, in the last 10 seconds, we saw it get a small lift on Shatter once again. And then we saw their driver have a little fit and stuff about it, which
Yeah,
I could tell he was clearly frustrated, so I don't blame him one bit about
I
that.
would be
Meaning
too.
that there was probably issues with that flipper and stuff, but yeah, I kind of agree with Pory, where I think if the flipper was at full power, I think Sub-Zero would have had a real shot at this one, but I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure if they would have won the fight. But I think it definitely would have been closer, and yeah, so
Yeah.
so yeah, this fight did go to the judges. What do you think about the judges' decision, Pory?
I mean, I agreed with it. I mean, there's no question that Shatter won that. It did all the damage. Sub Zero, I'd say maybe Sub Zero had the control. You could argue. I would say I would probably give it like 2-1 control, like not like a clean sweep, but I'd say they definitely had some good control in it. But it's their weapon doesn't work. Although I do think that the team is usually pretty transparent about what happens with the robot. Like the conversations we've had, like they've always shared tons of very good information with me. So I'm sure we will find out what happened with Sub Zero, like probably like Sunday when it airs publicly or in the next week or so.
Yeah, I imagine some point after we were recording this, they're probably gonna give out a damage report, like what you said, Pori. But in terms of how I scored this fight, I actually gave Sub-Zero the edge in not just control, I also gave them edge in aggression too, because even with their flipper not working clearly, they were still like going after Shatter and staying in their face, even if they got pulverized several times. But I think Shatter definitely won it on damage. I'd give them a clean sweep with damage, but
Yeah,
yeah, overall this overall was a pretty good fight. Like I don't think it was as good as the last YouTube exclusive fight, but that's my opinion and stuff, but I felt it was fun. So,
yeah. I mean, that last YouTube fight was really good, though.
yes,
Plus,
that's
I
very
love
true.
deadlift. I mean, if only I had arm from that robot, that'd be really cool.
Well, I mean, you will in not too long, and I might have a
Yeah.
part from that fight too, coming at some point.
Well, mine's from the
Deadlift does have
first
parts
fight.
up for auction on eBay, and you might get a really good shot because as of the time we've been recording this, those parts have not been popular. So
Yeah, apparently I'm the only one that wants a deadlift part, but
somebody actually
I
did buy part of the lifter from the Ghost Raptor fight. One of those
oh
parts
yeah,
have
that's true.
sold.
One of those did sell.
Yeah, and something else from the
The
Jackpot
one
fight
top
sold
panel
too.
sold.
Yes. But yeah, Deadlift has a lot of parts up for sale, and if you're interested in a Battlebot part, and feel free to go there and stuff. So shout out to Deadlift, little free advertising. So
Yeah, totally. I'm excited to get my arm. That's gonna be
yeah,
very cool because deadlift's my second favorite robot. So that's
yep. Yeah, I'm excited to see both of these two robots return to the arena once again for their second fight. Same thing with Deadlift as well, because Deadlift shows quite a bit of potential. And
oh yeah,
even if I disagree with Pory that Deadlift's gonna go all the way, but
I'm going full way.
all right, let's go ahead and get to the last bit of this podcast, the power rankings. All right, so I'll go ahead and share my power rankings first. I'm doing this a little differently because I have Pory's top 32, and then I also have a top 30 from Civilian Arc as well that I will share right after I do my set. As he did everything but excluded the bonus fights, so no Shatter and Sub-Zero in his rankings. So So yeah, kind of like mine, I have the big seven here in my opinion. Sawblaze, Mad Catter, Rotator, Uppercut, Tantrum, Rivat, and Whiplash. All seven of them had super dominating first victories, prove that they are forces to be reckoned with and will not go down easily. And I expect if those seven robots keep up what they were able to do after their first fight, I think we could see some really high seeds from all seven of them. Then
Yeah, I
next up
agree.
being Endgame, the defending champ, where their first one wasn't exactly that impressive, but Endgame's still like both the defending champ and a real force to be reckoned with that vertical spinner, even if they didn't get that many opportunities on Hydra. Then following that, Shatter, Captain Shredder, Blacksmith are or three others that got their first victories that had some really good. All three of them had a really good debut and stuff. But then the
Yeah,
one that I think might surprise people is having Blip at 12, while it absolutely smoked their first opponent basically and Rusty. But kind of like my reasoning for it is like I still have questions involving Blip when it comes to combat because like we don't know how well Blip could take attacks from spinners yet since Rusty doesn't have a
yeah,
spinner yet, and as well the quality of opponents that Blip has taken on so far is much lower, so I would have Blip at a lower seed. Following that,
yeah.
Jackpot and Gruff, two more robots that I felt had a decent first victory. In my opinion, they weren't as good as like Shatter, Captain Shredder, and Blacksmith, but all three of them had really solid first showings, in my opinion. And then I got a large list here: Bloodsport, Minotaur, Gigabyte, Yeti, Free Shipping, Tombstone, Kraken, and Sub-Zero. I'll add Sub-Zero too. All of them I felt like had like really good to good losses and stuff. Because like all of them put up a heck of a fight on their opponent, and I think we could definitely see a lot of them bounce back from that loss. Deep Six and Mammoth, those two both had decent victories. They probably weren't as they weren't exactly the best quality wins, but I think we could definitely see the two of them at least skyrocket up the rankings with more victories. Like they're a little more influential to me.
Yeah.
Malice, Hydra, Deadlift, Defender, and I'm gonna add Hijinks to that too. All of them definitely had lesser quality victories, and all of them probably have some gremlins to fix, but yeah, they could definitely bounce back up as well, as I know a few people would probably disagree with a few of those, and but I feel like they'll bounce back. Like I got confidence in a few of them and stuff, but yeah, and then Switchback, Pain Train, and Rusty, I feel all have some work to do and stuff, but I feel like if they could sort out all the gremlins and stuff, I think I could definitely bounce back and stuff. I got
Yeah.
hope for a lot of these robots, so alright, I think that about covers it, so let's go ahead and check out. Yeah, check out Civilian Arc and Pory's power rankings. I don't plan on reading off Civilian Arc's power rankings and stuff,
Yeah.
but just for time purposes. But yeah, his power rankings are up there to the left. Should be for you to check them out and stuff. He does have some interesting choices in there as the big one that I really noticed is how he's got Hydra over Endgame and stuff. While I do understand that like Endgame's victory was not exactly a quality one, and Hydra was still put up a heck of a fight until they died out. Definitely could be one thing to consider. And yeah, we all have different one seeds is the other thing I've really noticed and stuff. But
There's a good argument for Bad Catter being the one seed, though. I'd
oh
say
yes,
one
definitely.
question though. One question though is really how's Defender doing better than Endgame, bro? How is Kraken 16 seed? Well, I guess it had good moments. Okay,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
I'll give you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and leave the floor to you, Pory, to explain your top 32.
Yeah, okay. So uppercuts, I have it one because that was a very dominant victory over Gigabyte, who was one of the best robots last year for sure. And knocking holes in it. Sawblaze, I'd have at number two. I threw around having them at number one. They're number one with the Combat Collective as a whole because we have like a average sort of thing. But Yeah, Saw Blades, like, they're dominant. You know, they took it to Minotaur. Rotator, I have at number 3 because, like, that Kraken fight was brutal. Like, that was beautifully done, 100%. And, like, there's a lot of damage there. Mad Catter, I got at 4 because that Yeti performance was also very brutal, very well driven. You know, that it was phenomenal. Shredderator at number 5. We got the at 0-1
Sorry,
green.
that's a mistypo on my end.
Young Shredderator with that
I was wondering what.
impressive dub over Tombstone.
Yeah, should be
Deep
1-0. My bad.
Deep Six at number 6 because 6. But Deep Six. I mean that was also a very destructive victory. And you got like Whiplash and Tantrum who both had insane driving performances in the last episode. Flip I would probably have higher, and I'm kind of thinking maybe it should be a little lower because, well, it did have a very dominant win. It had a very dominant win to the lowest seed that I have right now. So, like,
To my meme pick and King of Draft.
yeah, the meme pick. And, you know, Shatter did a wonderful job. Ribot, they'd be higher if the opponent that they beat was not Defender. No offense to Defender, of course, you know, but it just wasn't. Ribot should have had a harder draw, but it's okay because Ribot's going to win the Giant Nut. End game, you know, I mean, they did what they needed to do with Hydra. Then you have like Blacksmith and Jackpot and Mammoth at 0-1, apparently.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I.
Like
Not
they
sure what
were
I did to
like
screw
all
those up.
like Blacksmith and Jackpot had pretty good wins. Then you have Mammoth who had a win. I mean, it was good enough, you know. Bloodsport and Free Shipping who both had pretty good losses. Gruff who had a bit of a rough win, but it's, you know, win's a win. Then you had some more decent wins, you know, Minotaur, Deadlift, Kraken. I can't believe Kraken survived that fight, but we'll talk about that. Yeti. Then you have Yeti, Sub-Zero, Malice, Hydra, Gigabyte, Tombstone, ones that did pretty poorly, but like have a lot of potential to bounce back and probably will bounce back. Then you have the tier of robots that I'm a little worried about, like Defender, Switchback, Hijinks, Pain Train, because like they could definitely bounce back, but they got a lot of work to do before they do. And then number 32 is Rusty. Sorry, Rusty.
But yeah, pretty well said, Pory. So yeah, this will do it for the power ranking section, and this will do it for the podcast. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and check out Porynog and all the other co-host channels as well, as I will link them in the description for this video. And yeah, once again, thanks for watching. I plan to post another prediction episode for episode 3 for when the fight card goes public, and I will hopefully see you next time.